Hello YouTube, John back here with another video for you. And this is going to be a little bit different of a video. So what it is that I do not have my Laney anymore. Laney that you saw in a lot of my videos or previous videos. I recently got a Marshall Origin 50 and I absolutely love this amp. It's such a good amp. But with any, lower basic quality, I wouldn't say bad quality, but just like a lower quality amp, especially a tube amp, some of the things that get sometimes, what do you call it? I wouldn't want to say skimmed down on, but sometimes some certain things that get, left out, quality wise, are sometimes the speaker and tubes that are in the amp. um, Sorry, I'm just a little under the weather. So that's why today we have a warehouse guitar speaker Retro 30 that is going into this amp. Now, why did I go with the Retro 30 versus the Veteran 30 versus, say, going with another Celestion? And, Celestions are not bad speakers by any means, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you what's a good speaker, what's a bad speaker. Celestion has been dominating the speaker world for, gosh, I don't know how long. I mean, many years. Celestion's been, dominating the speaker world. I mean, Eminence has been out for a long time, in this company, in the grand scheme of speakers, is obviously a newer company, Warehouse. But what I like about Warehouse speakers are they're made in USA, which I live in the USA. They're made with as many good quality components as they can get that are USA built. Like, if they can get paper from the USA for the cone, they will. Look at that. 75 watts, 16 ohm. Now, the other reason I went with the Retro 30 versus, say, like the Veteran 30s, I've actually had Veteran 30s before, and they were okay, but I still want the top end of this amp. So, this video, we're going to show you how to remove a speaker from the Origin 50 and then put in the new speaker. Now, I will say this is going to be a little bit different for me, so I'm going to try to do the best I can with the camera angles. You don't need many tools for this. You can just get a basic screwdriver. I'm going to be happen to be using a power drill because it just makes it that much easier. Now, also, Marshall usually has another one that sticks here to here. I bought this obviously used. I got this amp used, and it didn't come with that, so that's fine. Now, the Celestion Midnight 60 that's in here isn't a terrible speaker, but it definitely could be better. Now, will I be providing sound samples? No. The reason why is speakers need time to break in. I don't care what anybody says, they need time to break in. And I feel like if I put this speaker that has been broken in for a good amount broken in versus the brand new one, new one's going to sound very stiff and a little sterile, and it's not going to be accurate. So what we need to do first with this amp is we need to unscrew it here and unscrew it here. So those six, not these ones, these three over here. So first, don't mind my mess of my basement. I'm going to do as much of this as I can on camera. Obviously, this is all going to be in real time because I'm not fancy and have an editor and can't, I don't know how to do all that other fancy stuff. Oh, that one always gives me a little bit of problem. So this is kind of sagging a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lay this down. I'm hoping that my whole basement isn't... Okay. Sorry about the terrible shooting. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Look at that. It's my amp. It was used. I really don't care if I'm just not at a good angle for this. Really not at a good angle. Okay. So after that is done, I'm going to basically remove this. Now I will say really fast, I forgot to mention this. Inside of here are all of the controls. So I have to detach the speaker. So let's detach the speaker. Detach. I have to detach. What am I saying? Part of my videos is that I love, what I love doing with them is that I kind of try to make it so it's like two guys or two girls or whatever you want to call anybody nowadays. To each its own, their own. I kind of just want to make it like a hangout session. So, right now, I'm going to place this over carefully because there are tubes. And I do not want to ruin those tubes or the screws. So, as you can see, 2 transformers and the tubes. Now, I could remove this. Let's see if I might have to. I'm going to try. Yeah, I'm going to have to remove this. So there is an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. So let's make you guys more nauseous and try to get out these 5 screws. 1. Now, this is the boring part. So, people question like, oh, 18 versus 16 ohm, what's better, what's worse, should I go with, how many ohms is the cab, and should I mix match and this and that? I'm not here to tell you what's better or worse. Now, I will say that certain other companies, like the Big C one that I mentioned earlier, I feel like their quality control sometimes isn't great. So sometimes I feel like when you get a 16 ohm cab or a 16 ohm speaker versus the 8 ohm speaker, that yes, you are going to get a discrepancy in actual sound. So now, sorry, like I said, I'm kind of sick still. You have you have four screws here, and then also we have to detach the red and black. Typically, always red is positive, black is ground. We're gonna look just to double check, and yep, red is positive, black is ground. They have the quick connects on here. Should you solder a speaker versus not soldering a speaker? That's really up to you. I've soldered speakers. I've not soldered speakers. In my 412 cab, I have all the speakers soldered. But in this, I'm just going to leave it as is. Now, why did I go with another 16 ohm speaker instead of going with an 8? Well, I'm planning on, if I ever want to run a 112 extension cab, or if I ever want to play my 412 cab with this amp, then I need the internal speaker to be 16 ohms, because if you want to run two 16 ohm, whether it's cabs or speakers or whatever, you have to run each at 8 ohm. And the amplifier does not give me an option to run everything at 4 ohms. It only gives me an option to run everything at either a single 8 ohm, a single 16 ohm, or two 16 ohm. So we're going to remove the speaker. Like I said, this is not a bad speaker. It's very light in weight. It sounds okay. It's a little flubby in the low end, which is one of the reasons why I actually really wanted to change it. Oh my goodness, the weight difference in these two speakers is is astronomical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the speaker up with the two terminals on this side, how it was before. You don't have to do that. You can if you want. Let's see. Typically with speakers, usually they give, they must have already have the rubber on here already. So that's fine. Now, I know I've been using a power drill, but when I want to start something, I'm going to do it with an actual screwdriver. This is just a basic Husky one that you can get at Home Depot. Okay, there's that one, which is not locking in. So that tells me that I knocked something out possibly. So excuse me guys, I'm going to pause the video for a second and look at this. So just to show you guys what happened, this little grommet, there it is. This little grommet or nut popped out of the front as I was taking the speaker out. So I have to get this now back in. So we could do this either two ways. I could either pop off the grill, which is not an option, or I could do what I was going to originally do, which is probably, which is I'm going to have to somehow snake this back in as best as I can without popping off the grill, and then hope that I can get this back in properly. So these are sometimes the issues that you deal with. Now all the other three are there, no issue. It's just this one. Now could I say, screw it, and just go ahead and put in the fourth, put in 3 and say screw it and just leave 3? I could, but what's going to happen then is there's going to be a rattle that could occur. There could be other issues that could occur. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some pliers. And I'm going to grab a screw. So I don't know how much of this is coming through. There we go. Let me try these ones. Now, if I can line up the grommet with the screw, which is now what I have done, I can pop I actually have it right here, and I actually have the grommet now popped in. So I'm going to carefully unscrew this because what I'm doing is I'm lifting up and unscrewing at the same time. Okay? Lifting up and unscrewing. That way I create, because there's obviously four things that, there were like those four prongs that hold it into place. So now I'm going to grab the speaker again, which I'm going to carefully place on here. And that was the one that was giving me the issue. So I'm going to take one of these and make sure I'm lined up, which now I am. I'm just going to carefully, I'm actually holding the speaker up as I'm doing this. And I'm carefully going to line it up by hand. Get this all lined up by hand. Not do any tools, nothing, no power tools, no nothing. Okay, I feel it catch. So now it's caught. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my screwdriver once again, and now it's there. Now I'm not going to, I only gave it a little bit extra because of the situation that we found ourselves in. But I don't want to be too over the top with it because I got to line up all these other ones as well. So it really doesn't matter which way you do it. Some people might say this way, that way, whatever. As long as you don't tighten them all down at the same time. I mean, as long as you don't, as long as you tighten them all down at the same time. So like, snug them, then go back and tighten them, then go back and tighten them. That's fine, So some of these like to give a hard time with catch. There it is. There's the catch. Bring in the screwdriver. There we go. Two done. And apparently, there it is. When I put the speaker down, one of the screws fell out. So I got two in. Here's gonna be the next one. And the last one's gonna go over here. Now I could definitely tell that this speaker is larger, a little bit larger in diaphragm too than the Celestion. Could be better quality materials. Could be that, just how it is. But it's not going to slow us down at all. Okay, so now I'm going to get every single one just till they're snug. Now I'm going to go back. I'm just going to keep doing that till, feel like it's secure enough. A lot of the stuff you don't have to overdo. I do it too. A lot of people do it. We'll sit there and we'll, think we have to crank these things down. Don't. You want to make sure they're snug. You want to make sure they're firm and they're in there. You don't want to create any unwanted vibrations, but don't have to go crazy. That one's starting to really kind of snug up. There we go. That one's now starting to snug up. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go around once more and just make sure. So snug. 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 Awesome. Okay. The old speaker, which it's amazing how much lighter this speaker is going to go back in the box. I'm going to put this board back on. This one I'm not too concerned with the power drill. Just trying to get it down. Now, this should be said, not all speakers will have the positives and negatives on the same side. In a perfect world, let me turn on there it is. In a perfect world, they will have the positive on the left, which I'm going to slightly bend up the tab, and the negative on the right, you know. But sometimes, depending on the brand, or these should just slide right back on. Oop, I took it off as I was trying to put on the other one. Sometimes, depending on the brand, they will change those things on you, which is a bummer. And it's never fun, because then you got to kind of figure it out what you're doing next. Okay, so what's easier for me is to lay the amp back down. Sorry about my messy basement. I got 4 kids, so they like to come down here and obviously do stuff. Now it's time to get the amp inside. Okay. And just for reference too, I talked about tubes and stuff like that. I actually did change out some of the tubes in this to see what would work better, what would sound better, because that's a whole nother discussion for another day. But tubes don't always change the sound, but they can wake up an amp. So I'm gonna have to move this out of the way a little bit. One, two. Almost dropped the camera. That one always gives me a hard time. I don't know why. I like tinkering. I like opening things up. I like to see. And that screw always just gives me a hard time. Okay. So now, holy cow. The weight difference of this amp is incredible. Oh, I almost don't know if I want to put the other speaker back in because of how much less it would. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Okay, so we got everything nicely hooked up. This is a 16 ohm speaker, okay? And the 16 ohm slot is right there. That's the 60. If you could see it, it's upside down. It's a 16 ohm. So now this amp is done. So Marshall Origin warehouse guitar speaker change out. That's how you do it. It's not so hard. Even if you run into issues like I did, you're able to figure it out. Okay, guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I know I always say that. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have one of these amps and what speakers you run with them. I have, obviously, I have the Celestion here. My 412 cab has Ted Weber speakers in it, which I like those speakers, but they're very dark. So I wanted something obviously a little bit brighter, a little bit tighter. So, okay, guys, take care. Bye.